Welcome to Healthy by Design, where we are going to step through how you can apply human design, your gates, your strengths, your gifts, and the gene keys to be healthy and vibrant and free. And I want you guys to see your chart. Now, I know it's overwhelming, right? When you first look at your chart. And I want you to just step aside and just like take a high level look at it and see it as like an encyclopedia for us to reference when we want to go and improve our health, in this case today, or if we want to improve our career, like growth there, or if we want to improve our relationships. There's so much in our charts that we can look at to see how we can uniquely manage our energy, manage our gifts, and also even look at other, like our family members' charts, our friends' charts, to also like work better, collaborate better together. There's just so much potential in your encyclopedia and everyone's encyclopedia. So I want us to look at it that way. And so as we're working through these, so these workshops, we'll be writing a chapter at a time, or reading a chapter and kind of writing our story, kind of interacting, right, with our encyclopedia, with our charts, so that we can take it and use it in our daily life. So the practical, adding the practical to human design. So first, let's talk about where we're the same. So our charts are different, but where are we the same, right? Now, we're the same in that we all want to make better decisions. And in order to make better decisions, we need to be emotionally clear. We need to not be emotionally charged, right? And the way we're the same is also how we feel this emotional clarity in our body. And so even as I'm saying that, can you feel it in your body, like a clarity, if you were to get back into that space or state of emotional clarity? And no worries if you can't, because we are going to jump into a intuitive exercise, an intuition exercise, where we can ground ourselves into this emotional clarity. And this will help us make better intuitive decisions. Who here has heard of the inner authority, like our inner authority in our charts? There's so some of us have sacral authority, some of us have ego authority, some of us have emotional authority, right? But we all need to get to the set point, this baseline where we're emotionally clear before we make decisions and before we do anything, really, right? So that we can say yes to the right things at the right time. And the more we do this, the more we get back to this emotional clarity point, we can then begin to trust ourselves again more and trust our inner authority. So with that said, who's ready for a little exercise? Sharing. Type in the chat. Okay, thank you, Tiff. Yay. All right, yay, Anastasia. Let's get going then. And I want you to get into a comfortable position first to start off in. Kind of a relaxed state right now that we're going to guide you through. And you can keep your eyes open or closed, it's up to you. If you keep it open, just let it land on a comfortable spot, like have a soft gaze in front of you, maybe 2 to 4 feet ahead of you, in front of you. And let's begin with it. Hi, Anita. Thank you for showing your face beautifully. Hi. All right, so let's begin by grounding ourselves. And as you begin to bring awareness to your breath, notice how, whether it's fast or slow or deep or shallow, and bring awareness to your forehead. Like, let your forehead just simply relax. Just relax the muscles in your forehead and in your jaw and your shoulders, just letting that float. And your entire back, feel the spine, like how erect it is or how it's softened. Notice how comfortable your body is, just by you not trying to do anything, just letting it be. And from this position, with a straight spine, hi Bella, with a straight spine, notice how more confident you feel. And how you're just physically in a better position to make decisions that are in line with your values, your needs, and your energy. And if you'd like, bring one hand to your heart now, and the other hand to your stomach. And feel how easy it is, how comfortable it is to breathe into your stomach and into your heart, right here. This is emotional clarity. This is where you have a clear channel of energy flowing through your system. Yeah, and when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes if your eyes are closed. How's everyone feeling now? Just type in the chat box, how are you feeling now? Love to hear. Good, good, Anastasia. Wonderful. Now, can you feel how it's easier to make decisions from this point where where our body's relaxed? Wonderful. Yes, wonderful, Tiff. Yeah, because when we make decisions from an emotionally charged state where we're feeling pressure to make decisions, for example, or when we're upset, then we start saying them, like blurring the wrong things. Who's been there, right? Where we're like reacting and saying things we regret, like just a second later, it's like, oops. Or we feel like we mean it in that moment, and then later, like, darn it, why did I react that way? Right? So often that happens. And I'm gonna take you on a journey later to where you'll be able to connect to why things happen that way and what we can do about it. All right, and again, this is all about managing our energy. Like our health it's measured by how well we manage our energy, right? All right. And let's see here. So I'd like to also share this magical question when we're trying to make decisions. This has worked for me. I've used this since maybe 4 weeks ago when I was listening to the Gene Keys, and on Gene Key 14, Richard Rudd he's the founder of the Gene Keys, and he made the statement in there asking like, what would love do? That's the question. So that's the question. What would love do? What would love do in the situation? So like when in the heated moment, if we can have that moment of awareness and ask, what would love do? What would love do right now? What would love do here? I forgot the do here. What would love do here? Because the reason why this works is because we are love in action. We are love with legs. You've heard the affirmation, right? I am love. That's because we are love. We are the frequency, we vibrate at the frequency of love when we are emotionally clear. And so when we are operating from this standpoint of, I'm doing this out of love, I'm going to start this out of love, I'm going to speak this from a space of love, that's when we can make the better decisions. Trust me, try this out. Like, I'd love to hear actually your experience after this. Okay, so that's it for how we're different. How we're the same. There's probably a lot of other things, but now we're going to jump into our design, right? How are we different? And we know that our design's different and our names are different. So I'm Kelly Borowski for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kelly Borowski, and in order to really understand who I am, I have to take you back to my high school years. So I'm a line 6 in human design, and that with line 6, we have 3 different phases in our life. And from when we're born to our 20s, we're kind of in a tough phase, like we're just kind of fighting life in a way, but we're trialing, we're experimenting. So we're more of a third line from age 0 to age 1 to 20s, and 30. In our 30s, we begin to kind of waken up a little bit, and that's how my story goes. And in 1998, I was a pretty depressed kid, actually. I really kept to myself. I didn't want to be seen. I wanted to hide. I wanted to wear all black so I could just hide in the background and not be seen or heard. And then I, like, fast forward, like in 2020, actually, was when I found the artist way, and I had an awakening when my dad was diagnosed with dementia. And the awakening I had was, wow, what did I do with the last 10 years of my life? I was on autopilot. But at that point, I still wasn't too excited to be seen. I was kind of waking up, like opening my eyes, like, oh, there's more to life. And so then I found the artist way, and I found my creativity, and synchronicities fell into place. And I found this human design system at that point. And lo and behold, the sun gate, my sun gate is gate 1, which is like the spark creativity. Being IT for 15 years, I didn't know I was creative at all. I thought I was very logical minded, and that was how I was. Until the gene keys and human design, I realized how dynamic I actually am. Because when I jumped into this, and I'll show you the talking chart, because that's what I was listening to realize how much was hidden under there, and it just resonated with me so much. So now, through the shadow work and the gene keys, I have nothing to hide. I really feel like I have nothing to hide. I was still hiding between 2020 and like earlier this year. There was something in me. I was like, what? Like, I still didn't want to share like the parts that I wasn't proud of. Like, I didn't want to share my reactivity to things, to people, that I had these flaws still. Yeah, but that's it for me. I don't want to bore you with that. So the class outline today is, so we're here to talk about being healthy, how to use our design to stay healthy and to get healthy if we're not in the healthiest state that we want to be. So in the interest of time here, I'm going to actually just go into chapter 2 and 3. So I'll gloss over here because this, let me pull up this actually here. So our workbook, our handy workbook here, if you've opened it, you can type in your name here to show that it belongs to you. So make this yours. And I've already put the diet by type in here. That's why I'm just going to gloss over it a little bit, because then you can just do that when you're doing your homework, and we won't go over each type. Actually, I really love to know who, like, can you type in your type here? What are you? Are you a generator, manifesting generator, projector, manifester, reflector? Generator, yay. Yay. Anita, manifesting generator. Manifesting generator. Oh, self-projected projector. My sister's projector, Melinda, and I love studying her chart because I know my chart really well. I love studying other people's chart. Carrie, generator, yay. Belinda, yeah, Bella. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so we mostly have generators and manifesting generators with a unicorn projector. Melinda, thank you. So I'll have to ask for your perspective on a lot of things here. So. Awesome. So And, you know, that being the case, actually, let me see if we can walk through this real quick. Yeah, so generators, manifest generators, we have a lot of energy. And so we need a lot of fuel to fuel our energy. So we tend to be able to, you know, take on a lot, but we also still need to watch out for what we say yes or no to. And we need to exercise. A big part of why we need to exercise is because we have so much energy pent up. And if we don't, if you notice some nights you might feel a little restless and tossing and turning, and that could be, if you reflect back on that day, if you didn't exercise or expend that energy, then that might be why it's keeping you up. So just something to keep in mind as you're moving through this and seeing how your type, how your movement is matching your type. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to jump into chapter 2 because this is a really, it's something we can really leverage in our design for. So our Incarnation Cross, you'll see it's a fancy word for these 4 gates combined, the 4 gates at the top combined. And these 4 gates, it gives us our source of energy, our fuel, the top 2 gates do. And then the bottom gates, actually, the bottom gates, this is just a cleaner slide. The bottom gates help ground us. It helps, well, so the unconscious earth grounds us in our spiritual reality, our spiritual path. And then our conscious earth grounds us and recenters us in our physical body, which is like both are equally important, right? But so often, like for me, I was grounding myself in my spiritual path because I suddenly had that awakening. And I was like, oh my God, there's so much I can learn and everything. And I went full speed, but I forgot the foundation. I forgot to ground myself. So I was actually, I want to share this story. It was weird. I was on the boardwalk at the beach, and there was I have the automatic light here, just so you know, it might turn on and off. So I was walking at the boardwalk, and this guy with these gems, these crystals, he said, oh, I can do a reading for you. And he noticed that I was like, my chakra, my root chakra actually was out of balance. And that's because I was like on cloud 9, like, whoo, you know, and then when someone upset me, I wouldn't know what to do. Like I'd fall away from top down to the bottom because I wasn't grounded. I didn't have that foundation. And that's what the shadow work has really brought clarity to me on. Like it made me realize, wow, I needed that foundation this whole time. Otherwise, like I would be still hiding right now, like not seeing you guys. so this is wonderful. Okay. So back to the Incarnation Cross. This is about how we are, our purpose here, right? And when we say purpose, it's not a destination, mind you. And I thought actually it was a destination for a long time, and I was searching for it. I thought, if I don't fulfill my purpose in this lifetime, my life is not valuable. I was on that path of like just self-sabotage, wanting so hard to find that purpose. And then I realized there are actually a lot of other shadows there involved where I felt inadequate. And that helped, like doing that shadow work helped me during life. So I'm going to be talking a lot about shadow work because it's been a recent revelation for me. And I'll probably do another workshop on that if anyone wants one on that. Actually, is anyone interested? Can you type if you're interested in any shadow work workshops? Then I'll know. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so our Incarnation Cross, so that's the purpose. It's the purpose of our life, meaning who we are meant to be here, how we are meant to show up here, our uniqueness, bringing that forth. And by embodying that, that's how our purpose finds us. And it's not even like one thing. It could be multiple. So like that, this word purpose is just kind of like a illusory term that I honestly feel we should throw out the window because it's more like a sense, like a sense, right? Like I'm living on purpose. That's all. Like, and that's how we are when we're living our design. That's on purpose. And that's purposeful. Just being ourselves is very purposeful. Okay. And our energy, right? It's all about our energy. So the top two gates keeps us healthy because we are then using our talents, our gifts, and our energy properly. And so if you look at the, actually I'm going to, yeah, let me just drop in here. So just stepping through the workbook a little bit, going along, you can move along with me as we go. So if you want, you can add your, or upload your chart here. You can browse to your area and just upload your chart here. And this is just for easy reference as you're working through the workbook. And so we are down here where you can enter your top gate here on the left, and that is the unconscious design Sunday. And for those of you who don't know, this is the unconscious side, meaning like it's more the side you might not be aware of that you have, the gifts you might not be aware of. To be honest, there's a lot of conscious gifts I wasn't aware of too, but not like aware of as and like I didn't know for sure. It was like when I read these gates or listen to them, they really resonate. Like, oh yes, like I knew it. You know, I was like, yeah, finally someone understands or sees that and calls it out. Someone being the design chart or encyclopedia. So you can enter your gate here, and what you do with that information is you'll look it up here. So for example, for me being gate 1 as my, actually as 4. So you just, yeah, type in the number at the top there. And when you scroll down, you can just read through this. It's really nice, really well spoken, and it's very well done. And I want to share this. It also tells you who you can collaborate really well with, or like jive really well with, or have really like insightful conversations with. So like as you're reading through this, if you know someone with gate 63 or gene key 63, and you have a 4 in your chart, you know, it's really nice to know that. And like for me, my sister has the 8, and just like the channels line up, that I don't want to confuse you with that. So yeah, just read through this. There's another I'd like to show you actually. So genetic matrix has this talking chart. Actually, does anyone know about the talking chart on genetic matrix? It's wonderful, and I want to show you one. See if I can here. Does anyone have a 4 in your chart, or want to see if there's, or actually tell me what, tell me what you have in your top left. So the unconscious sun, what gate do you have there? You can drop it in the chat. 59, 6, awesome. So 6, I have the 6 too, so I'm gonna listen through that with you. So the talkie chart here, see if I have this on audio, share sound. Okay, so the talking chart is like this. You can pull up your, so when you look at the talking chart view, you'll see all of these, and you can even click on the gates that you have defined. So I also have 6 defined.
Let's have a look at your unconscious tribal 6th gate. Fatal to us in the longer term because it creates an envy, and it's that heat that forces you to move away from the other person. Because if you don't move back within your own aura, You can't rest. You cannot be yourself. And people that don't move away, well, that's when they have this need to release energy in a way that will bring crisis and conflict, emotional crisis. This energy is the hope and pain wave of intimacy, and the pain side of it can really bring conflict. So in essence, your sixth gate is here to decide whether you will bond with someone or not. You're like a set of scales. You're here to balance high emotions in one hand and clear resolution on the other.
So it goes through and talks about your
This
gate.
is your first gate insights. And your creativity is always rooted in a philosophy of, I have to do it my way. It's deeply individual and
it'll show you a lot of like what areas where you might not be aware of that
can exist. It's just new. This is Beethoven, this is Picasso, all breaking the mold and coming out with something completely.
And you can listen through like your different type and your profile. It's just a nice way. Like if you want to binge watch TV, why not binge listen to your chart? That's how I was feeling. So those are kind of the two key resources I was looking at. Is this one, and who here is more of an auditory person versus a visual? Yeah, awesome. So yeah, so if you want, I can do a demo of this later, more of that. Okay, so that's their unconscious sun. It's what keeps us healthy. Actually, let me just check something here.
Let's have a look at your design unconscious sun. Now, the sun in your chart is very significant because along with the earth, it embodies your profile. So 70% of your overall imprint significance comes through these two sun-earth gates. And the sun represents the self, one's way of being in the world. It's a kind of behavior. And it can also represent on many different levels, both the ego and the higher self or soul purpose. And of course, the sun rules Leo and is exalted in Aries. So the sun, being the most important planet in the overall design chart, symbolizes one's will and sense of vitality. And if you look at the symbol there, it's very similar to the Jungian symbol for individuation. This placement is the core of who you are. The sun represents the hero archetype, which can ultimately be read as the story of transcending the little self or not self in human design in favor of.
Okay, so you get the idea, yeah, of what you can hear about these, the different signs. So he pulls in astrology as well for that. Okay, so that's the homework exercise. It would be to just look up that particular sun gate and also then your personality gate, which is on the right. And that's, they both, like, it drives your energy. And for me, so let me, like, who wants a story? Here. Stop sharing. Who wants to hear a story of my experience with, let's talk about the radiance. So the unconscious sun. Drop a yes if you want to hear a story. Otherwise, I won't bore you. All right, super Villa, thank you. So last year, actually, I want to share with you. Last year, in November, I was hosting a vision board party at my house. And one of my friends, she brought up this topic about social media. And she was saying how she wishes her mother-in-law wouldn't use social media. It's such a waste of time and just it's toxic. And I was kind of playing devil's advocate. I said, oh, why are you trying to control her? If she wants to use it, let her use it. And then there's some tension built up there. And I was ready to, like, I was projecting actually also how I was feeling there. And I was saying, are you okay? Are you feeling okay? Meanwhile, I wasn't feeling okay. And I was like, okay, I don't want to be friends with her anymore. This is a friend I've had for like 10 years. This is how intolerant I was. And that's like the black or white, of me. And the shadow of my gate 4, gene key 4, that blocked my radiance was intolerance. The shadow is literally called intolerance. And I didn't realize this though, but after she left and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to hang out with her anymore. Being like a really immature child, right? And so when she left, after that, like maybe a week later or something, I was like, oh my God, because I remember the spheres in the Gene Keys profile, and the sphere, the radiant sphere, has the shadow is intolerance, and that's when I started studying it a little bit more. I dug deeper into it, and I realized, wow, that intolerance really blocks it blocks me from really enjoying life, enjoying people. When I'm put in a situation where I feel like, oh, this is the end, and I'm not going to tolerate them anymore. That happens to me so often in the past. But that's when I tied it all together. And my husband, I looked at him and I was like, wow, he lets people be, and he's told me to let people be. So that like this art of letting people be has really helped me step back into like my own power, right? Like, and enjoying life more, enjoying people more, and brings back my health, right? My vitality, because now instead of like blocking that kind of like blocking people, blocking energies, I can receive them better. So that's just one story. And so we're just going to jump into the conscious sun now. And I want, like, as we're going through here, I hope you're just typing in your conscious sun. And conscious sun is on the right side, just that top little box there. And so for mine, it's 1. And yeah, I want to actually, even now as I'm contemplating, and that's a lot of what Gene Keys will have us do, is contemplate, as in reflect on what that gate means and what that Gene Key means. So as you're reading, you're looking up the Unlock Your Design, looking at what each of those archetypes mean, you'll begin to see like, oh, this is how is showing up in my life. So for me with Gene Key or Gate 1, that this gate of the gift of freshness, right? Like it's when I bring freshness to my challenges or to workshops like these, that's what fuels my energy. It gives me a lot. It makes me feel alive, like to bring that fresh perspective to things that we otherwise might think like, oh, that's the way it is, and that's how we should accept it, versus like putting a fresh spin on it. So as you're contemplating yours, see how you're coloring your life with that particular conscious sun, the gift of that. Actually, I'm curious if can anyone, does anyone have that? Have you already looked at that, your conscious sun? And what's there? So like if you can drop your conscious sun in there, maybe I can speak to that. Dependence. Listening. Yeah. So Carrie, I think that's the gift of being a great listener. I don't know if you've felt that in your interactions with people. It's listening, being a good listener. Yeah, and 6, I have that. 6 is like a peacemaker. You want to keep the peace, but in a diplomatic way, like you're sensitive to people's needs, and you tend to be more effective when you're sensitive, and you keep the peace that way. So it's being a peacemaker. Yeah, awesome. That is a wonderful gift to have today, especially in the world. World peace, anybody? All right. So the next part in our Incarnation Cross is the the gates that ground us. So that's the unconscious earth. So as I was saying earlier, the unconscious earth is what keeps us on our spiritual path. And so if you're, yeah, so that would be your homework, is to just fill this part out and read up on that and see how that's showing up and how you can use that in grounding yourself. Yeah, it's, when we say grounding, like that's grounding our physical reality, right? Like what makes us feel grounded. Like for me, I have the gate 2, which is like whenever I feel off track or lost, I come back to this gate of gate 2. And this grounding gate is actually what we're here to learn to, like, feel into. And with gate 2 or gene key 2, that's unity, like oneness. And that's how I've always been able to get back to this place of like, oh, what do I do? Like, or like discomfort. I'm like, okay, just remembering that we're connected, you know, we're connected, we're here, we are present here in this physical reality, but I mean, we have so much to offer. And if we just connect and connect with our strengths and connect with each other through that, so like from higher self to higher self, that's how I feel grounded. So that's just like the narrative or the story, like the chapter I've written for kind of my healthy by design. And so your homework is just kind of contemplate, think about how that shows up in yours, and how you can ground yourself with that strength or that gift. Does that make sense? Okay, so now we're going to just gonna flip back over here. Any big takeaways so far on here? What have you, anything you've learned, any aha so far? Yeah, Carrie, can you share something? What's one of your biggest ahas for today? Yeah, right. It's all about chunking it down so that we're not swallowing an elephant, right? Or eating an elephant. I don't know what the term is. Super. Okay, so now we're going to jump into healthy by energy center. So I love how human design is based off of 5 different systems, and one big one is our chakra system. So I have a background in yoga teacher training and in all that, and also Reiki. But what I'm really drawn to is how the energy moves through our body. And I love how human design is based off the Hindu chakra system. And so when I think about what grounds us, what keeps us healthy, I really go into the root center, right? Because that's like the foundation. Remember I was saying earlier, I was like floating on cloud 9, and I forgot about foundations, the root center, where we feel safe. Within ourselves, we feel safe and supported without any external inputs. And I wasn't, though, like, so because I didn't have that foundation, any interactions, like any, like even that, when I had that conversation with my friend, like I saw that as a threat, right? Like I didn't know how to handle it because I didn't feel safe in that position. I didn't feel supported there. And when I come back to the root center, so for me, I have the 52 here, and whatever gate you have defined here, when you contemplate on it, you'll find that when you connect to like the gift of that gate, again, it'll help ground you. So these are all about grounding, having that foundation so we feel healthy and we feel supported. And so the root center is associated with our adrenal system. And typically when we don't feel safe is when we're putting pressure on ourselves, right? When we're feeling stressed or feeling anxious about something, or when we're going full charge, forcing ourselves to make something happen, and being overly ambitious about deadlines and being rigid about deadlines. That's typically when that affects our adrenals. And the telltale signs is, yeah, like rushing, trying to finish things within a set amount of time and not giving ourselves kind of space to rest or the space to actually connect back to our creative flow. So we're pushing and pushing, and when we're tight and constricted and contracted, that's when we not allowing the energy to smoothly flow through our system and our creative juices to flow out. And so yeah, so that's the root center. So as you're contemplating this, see if you can create more opportunities where you can connect back to that. So mine is the 52, which is from stress to stillness. It's called the mountain. And with the mountain, there's an opposite side effect to that, is that I can sit forever. Like, so it's also the gate of concentration. I can sit forever and focus on something. I forget to move, forget to get up and move my body. So it's also about being present, right? Being present in our body, knowing when, hey, it's time to get up still, like even though we're so driven and focused. But the stillness I come back to when I feel flustered or out of whack. And it really brings me a sense of peace and calm again. So that's really important for our health, right? To come back to that set point. And of course, yeah, so just make sure. Yeah, so our health is measured by how well we manage our energy. And so to avoid burnout and avoid disease, and really disease is our lack of ease in the body. So when we're pressured, contracted, constricted, that's when that creates the energy blocks. And when our energy block is blocked, then the energy is not flowing. And that's when we create an environment where disease could come in, introduce itself. And so the other center, energy center that can affect our health is the emotional solar plexus. And if you can feel that right now too, in your solar plexus is right below your heart cavity, so right here. And if you can feel it right now, that's like the seat of our emotions, and all our emotions actually flow through there. And if we can check in with ourselves now and then throughout the day, noticing and seeing if there's any tightness there to breathe into, just relaxing back into that. So there's telltale signs of when our energy is out of whack. And that's when we are not allowing ourselves to feel our emotions. So it can arise as moodiness, like if we're in a bad mood, if we're feeling nervous or more sensitive than usual, more irritated. And when we're feeling the emotions as an intense kind of shock. And that's when we know, like, or intense explosion, right? That's when we know that the emotions have probably built up. We haven't created an outlet for it to flow, whether it's through exercise or music, creative flow. So if it's built up, then that's when also we're creating blockages. And so what's important is allowing ourselves to feel it so that energy continue flowing. So the reason why I have these, this and even the root here circled is because within these energy centers, the gates that we have defined are where we can lean on to support us to gain emotional clarity, or it's parts where we can look at to see if there's certain patterns, like if there's certain emotionally charged situations that we are maybe not aware of, or we've kind of gotten used to and not knowing that it's there. So it's about bringing awareness to these areas. So I'm going to put up a chart later to dive into these in more detail, because what's cool about this is, you know how when we're in these yoga classes and they talk about our energy, that we're imbalanced, right? Like with my root before. Like when we talk about that, sometimes it's not specific enough. So we're just like letting it, like we're balancing it, and then we don't know what to do when it's out of balance again. So by having these gates, we can actually dig deeper to get even more specific and address the specific areas that may be showing up more. So bringing the shadows to the surface and addressing them so that when they come up, we know exactly why that's happening. Like for me, if I'm like feeling intolerant and I know, oh, that's my gene key 4 activating or not, or throwing me off balance again. And just being aware of it. And it's not about blaming anymore or blaming anyone, blaming my friend or anybody. It's about bringing awareness, knowing, and being educated. It's about being educated about our body and about how we operate so that we can channel or direct our energy in the right way, manage it in the right way. And that's how we can stay healthy. All right. Let me just see this time here. So already stories. All right, so doing really good on time now then. Make sure. Okay. So just to close out this topic of emotional intelligence. So our goal isn't to hold on to the highs, right? Like I was with Cloud 9, I'm like, yay, I'm so happy up here. No, nothing can take me down until something took me down. And it's not about avoiding the lows, right? So by being up here, I thought, oh, I'm so great. Like I'm so good, like how I'm staying up there. And then I was trying to avoid the lows. And then when the lows came, it just swept me off my feet. And so I like the surfboard, that's like the foundation, right? So it's about riding with the ups and downs, like a pro. Easier said than done, right? Sure. But so with the shadows, like how we ride the ups and downs is really looking at the downs in the face, looking at the lows in the face, the shadows. So I'll get into that with the next workshop, actually, probably is when I'm going to do it. So the shadows is just anything that we don't want to see, anything that we don't want to know, anything that we're fighting in our life, anything that we resist, anything that we hate about somebody. Those are shadows. Those are all shadows. The things that the knots and the dislikes, and those are shadows. And when we bring those to the surface, instead of saying, oh, that's how we are, that's how they are, or saying like, oh, I don't want to be that way. And so then we shove it under the rug like I was doing for a long time. Instead of doing that, when we bring that to the surface, there's so much more we could be and do and experience and live life fully. So yeah. Probably been talking at you a bit. Any questions? Any questions so far? Any big takeaways you want to share? How's the pace of this? Okay, good, great.
I've unmuted just asked a question. Is that okay?
Oh, yes, please, Bella. Yes, please.
Good, thank you. So I popped them in the chat, actually. There's a couple in there that I popped in there. I'll just go back to them. Tiff answered one, which was in the areas where the solar plexus and the root center. I wasn't quite sure if you had to look up every number or just the highlighted ones. And Tiff just said highlight. Yeah, so that was good. But there was another question in here. I don't know, it's back here. Oh, question for later. Okay, so when in your chart, like at the top and the very first one, which is the unconscious, and mine's 28.6. And when you were showing one of the charts, it showed line and gate. So would I be gate 28, line 6? And what does that mean?
Oh, very good question. So which one is this? Which gate was this, or which?
So this was the unconscious. I was 28.6 on unconscious in the sun.
Okay, so the line 6 is the, so that would be unconscious sun, right, you said?
Yeah. I'll just bring back, I'll have a look at my chart just to make sure what we say. Wish I could show my chart, but it'd take ages on my computer. So yeah, so unconscious was 28.6.
Unconscious sun.
Yes.
Right. Okay, yeah, so that's your radiance. And yeah, so it's with line 6, so that's a line.
Okay.
So with line 6, it's more of the role model.
Okay.
So yeah, so you're meant to be the role model and lead and showing that. So gate 26 is purpose. It goes from purposelessness to immortality. So it's about like living life fully.
Yep.
In its totality, receiving it in its totality.
Okay.
And seeing the purpose in everything.
Okay.
And you be role modeling that. And
okay.
that's your radiance your radiance. Like people, people would also be drawn to that when they see you
That
embodying
makes
that.
good sense. So when you look up the gate and it was the daredevil, or having a look at everything and going for it, and then the line is the role model, so I can go, okay, go have a look, explore all the limits, and then bring back what I learn and model it, show other people.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And you'll see like different archetypes showing up in these, but they're all like, they work together. So like the daredevil is a symbol of like going out there, like greeting life, like fully, like the totality of it, experiencing it so fully.
Yes.
And in that, yeah. And then people seeing that, it's like they're drawn to that because they're drawn to that kind of excitement, experience, like someone who's very experiential in that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, yeah. Thank you for the question, Bella.
No worries.
Yeah. Anyone else can unmute too if you have any questions. I'm sorry if I missed any of your questions. Let me scroll up to see but if anyone wants to share, go ahead and come on too.
Hi, I know I just got here and I'm late. I'm glad I caught the tail end of it. I don't have anything per se to share as far as like what you guys have been discussing, but I did just want to say that I've been enjoying the group and learning, more from the posts that you put out and kind of framing the way I'm approaching this and thinking about playing and exploring with my design.
Yay. Thank you, Talina, for speaking up and sharing and for coming on, even though it's the tail end. I'll send you the replay too if you want it.
Thanks.
Sure. Thank you. And thank you for being a presence in the group. I've seen your name. That's beautiful. Okay, wonderful, Anita. I'm glad it's making more sense now. Ah, Bella, you mentioned manifesting, right? You said I'm meant to use this to manifest. Yes, we are. We are huge manifestors, whether we know it or not. When we are emotionally clear, we can manifest even better. So it's also about having the vision too, what we want to manifest and connecting to that. But when we're emotionally clear is when we can have that clear vision as well. So like if you want to go back to that exercise ever, anytime, it's just basically relaxing your body. And that helps you make better decisions, but also tap into your intuition, right? Relying on our intuition instead of like wondering like who suffer from analysis paralysis. That's usually when we're in our head, right? But when we're relaxed in the body, then we're out of our head. So it's just like that awareness. So great. Oh, Carrie. So if you don't have any highlights in your root, it means you're an open root center, and that means you can actually get energy from those around you. Like, so just to being aware, like, and you can just ask, like, am I feeling the pressure, the need to do something because someone else is feeling pressure too? So just being aware of that when you have an open root. And actually, it could be a nice thing too to have an open root. Oh, the information on the lines. So Richard Rudd has that information in his books. I can send you the title to that book if you'd like, Melinda. But I really haven't seen any good resource for that online, unfortunately. Oh, are you talking about the lines to the gates or the lines in general in your profile, Melinda?
Probably be easier if I unmuted, because Belinda was saying her number was 28.6 and I'm 44.5 in the unconscious sun. So it's the 0.5 and the 0.6, those, because I know that's the whole numbers that are in the gates, but that 0.5, where does that sit? How do we find out the information? Because you just said a few bits about Belinda's, but yeah, it just threw me when I was looking at it going, well, there's all the numbers have got a point number in them.
Yeah.
What does it mean? if there's no information that's easy to define or find for it, what is it there for, so to speak? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, the talking chart will actually give you more of that because it'll show you the line as well. So when you click on, actually, I think I need to share my audio here. There we go. Okay, so if we go to this here, we show you the line here. So like yours, that's a 5.
Now, the 5th line that you carry in this logical 31st gate is emitting a frequency, a projection field through your aura. So whenever anyone is around you, they naturally perceive you as influential, and that you are really quite fixed on wanting to lead yourself in the first instance. You're not so concerned here about leading anyone else, but people assume they're projecting onto you that because you look like someone who is very good at leading themselves, that by definition you must be influential.
So yeah, you can get a feel, right, of Belinda. Yeah, so it actually is specific to the gate here. So I like how it does that. And then if you're looking for your profile, the lines in here, you can actually listen to that here as well. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. So I do have a gift. So if you share, like in the group, if you do your homework and share your biggest takeaway or your reflections, you'll be entered to win a raffle drawing for a talking chart, because I feel like that's the most useful gift I think we can get, just because it's so like handy. You know, you can just pull it up, listen to a gate, and it's like 10 minutes, 5 minutes. It just ranges, it varies, and whenever you want. So that's not so overwhelming, right? That's the problem I find with human design, and that's why I started this group. Is like I'm sick of like us being thrown this chart. I'm like, what do I do with all these numbers, shapes, size, arrows? Like what? You know, it's so cryptic. And if we just go to the talking chart and just listen one at a time, one gate at a time, like go from in order, it's just so much easier to consume and integrate, because we were only meant to like just absorb so much at a time, right? All right. Thank you for the question, Belinda. Okay. Yes, Anastasia, it can be overwhelming, but I hope this has made it less overwhelming today when we're focusing on just certain centers and certain gates for our health. And so the next workshop will probably be about mindset, and we can use do the shadow work for because I feel like mindset work and shadow work are just kind of synonymous, and the shadow work with the gene keys is like just stepping it up a huge notch, like just quantum